We finally have microphones that work, so we'll make a start. Welcome everyone to the London Tableau User Group. We're hosting our summer sessions tonight, so we've got some excellent speakers coming up, and then we'll all be heading down the stairs later on. First of all, we are your hosts for the evening. None of us work for Tableau, we are all just big fans, like you all probably. So we've got Paul Chapman, who I think is at the desk. We've got David, who's ignoring me, good. Myself, we've got Pablo behind the camera, and we've got Sarah over here. Is it anyone's first tug tonight? Excellent. Okay, so for everyone that didn't put your hand up, your task for this evening is to talk to someone that did. Okay? So, without further ado, we are going to head into our 9 lightning talks. First up, we've got Carl. Hello. So, Carl is a self-proclaimed Tableau addict. He works at the information lab, where he is the other coach at the data school. And he is a Tableau ambassador. I don't remember which one. Social ambassador.
Although I'm not social.
Although very antisocial, so somebody please talk to him tonight. I think I'm your microphone.
Excellent.
For tonight.
Cool. So we're gonna kind of have fun with this, I hope, as I destroy everything here. Laura has this wonderful job. Like, who signed up for this role in life, right? This is how much Laura loves Tableau. So, yes, 1 round of applause.
It's because I'm new.
There we go. Semi-spoiler alert. Look away from the slides, everybody. All right, I'm just going to try and start and give myself 10 minutes. Let's go. Right. So, who here has used Tableau Prep? Hands up. Oh, that's actually more than I thought. That's circa about a third, although I do teach about a quarter of that, so that's not a too bad mix. So, out of those people who don't use Tableau Prep, I kind of wanted to do a little poll to see why you don't use it. Is it, hands up, so number 1 option, do you not have it installed on your work machine? Is that why you don't use Tableau Prep? Alright, so a few. Option number 2, you have no idea what to do with Tableau Prep. I like the honesty, thank you. Number 3, there's other better tools out there to do the job. I'm also an Allchin partner, does that make you feel more comfortable? There we go, yeah, okay, good. No comment from this point on. Or do you think that ETL stands for extra tough learning? A genuine answer from a data schooler. Not going to mention Joe's name because that would be really unfair, wouldn't it? So for some of those reasons, that's why myself and my fellow Dr. Prepper, Jonathan, who is in Canada this evening, that's his photo of himself. We create this thing called Prepping Data. So one of the weekly challenges in the Tableau world, but all focused on Tableau Prep. And the reason why we generally did that was Jonathan wanted to learn. But secondly, I wanted to keep up with the crazy release schedule that the devs are putting out around Tableau Prep. They're doing a monthly release schedule. That means that we have some fun bugs to play with occasionally. But it also means we have a whole load of great stuff. So I've learned some cool little tricks as we've gone through. If you've ever seen Lorna Eden do her tips session, then actually you'll notice some of those from there, if you remember them. They were at pace, so you might not. But we're just going to go through a workflow just to kind of show you, 1, what prepping data is, but 2, what some of those tricks and tips are along the way. So, this is all taken from week 2 of prepping data, which me clicking on Allchin, that's a really great start, isn't it? I wonder why you laughed. Now I know why. Thank you. That was an intelligent fool, wasn't it? So let me show you the data while Allchin disappears into the background, I hope. So this data is 2 different cities, London and Edinburgh. If you wonder why I did that intentional click on Allchin, it's because I flew in from Edinburgh at 4 o'clock this morning, so I feel great right now. But we've got some basic data. Our metrics are listed down as a column, and we've also got the measure for that metric, some values and just some dates. But if you're a good Tableau desktop user, you'll notice we've got some nulls in the middle, and really we've got 2 tables of data. So how do we solve that in desktop, everybody? Oh dear, this is not good. Data school, how do we solve a data set like this? Simply in desktop, what would you use? The interpreter, absolutely. So my first tip in Tableau Prep is when we go and connect to that Excel is not to use Data Interpreter in exactly the same way that you do in desktop. Because if I go and click on Use the Interpreter, Tableau goes through, looks like it's worked, we've got the ticked box, lovely. I go to add a step, and in our city list, I'm still seeing city. So something hasn't played ball, and that's because the interpreter's creating these two tables underneath, but it's actually not used within our data set as we go. So my delete key finally works, it's always useful. What we actually need to do is bring those two in together. So I'm just going to union those two together, and one of my lovely tips is actually let's go and colour these things, because as we all know, orange and green makes red, apparently. So no, let's go and use some more logical colouring. With joins, I try to use primary colours, and then a secondary colour to come off the back of it. With unions, I just try and put together a nice little colour palette, just so we can see that we're merging two data sets together there. But the documentation doesn't have to stop there. We can right-click and rename fields. So let's call this our messy London data. And also, let's go and pick up our messy Edinburgh data as well. Don't worry, folks, you can rewatch this on slightly larger fonts because Tableau Prep and fonts are still fun. We can also add a description. So let's just say this is very messy data. But with our description, we actually get this little kind of icon that pops out. So if I just zoom into that, we can actually go and toggle those on and off. So you can build documentation, but you can also hide it really quickly and easily, which makes life just a little bit more simple. You're doing great, by the way. Very impressed. Cool. One thing that I do love about Prep is we have this concept of data rules, and also only 6 steps. Ultrix 175 tools when we looked the other day. Just in the basic download Prep, you've got 6 things you can do. That makes life so easy. I'm just going to go and get rid of my table names from my union. But city. Within Tableau, we kind of go and expect to pick up the longitudes and latitudes, but actually we don't need to do that. With Prep, we're just cleaning up those city names in the first place for use within Tableau. So is Tableau going to recognize that city name? Well, under the concept of data roles, we can go and apply city, and then Tableau will go through my data and assess whether that's actually a valid city name or not that's going to be picked up by Tableau in a bit. So we see that Edinburgh is named well, so is London, but we've got all of these dodgy spellings along the way. You can actually go and choose whether you go and pick the valid or the not valids, and you can play with that, but it's a great quick way to clean up that data. For my next trick though, I'm actually just going to get rid of that because it gives us a few more group options and something else to feed back to the devs later. So, grouping in Tableau Prep, absolute genius. We can group by pronunciation, by common characters, and by spelling. Just make this super flexible and easy compared to having to manually group everything or write some beastly if statements. So with our grouping, if I do it by spelling, actually Tableau is pretty good. It picks up all of those randoms along the way. All apart from London, where L is at the end for some bizarre reason. It didn't like that. But we also have sensitivity. So we can actually drop that sensitivity down all the way to the point where that other London gets absorbed in. So not only have you got an algorithm to play with, you can also go and trick it too, and go and tweak it to how you want it. If you know that you're getting a new product in, or in my case, a new spelling of a city, I can go and add that into the data set before it's even there. That's not creating a new row. That's just going to go and catch any future rows that have that spelling and go and apply it to a new grouping. So if I go to the London group, go and scroll down, I can see that new spelling. It's highlighted with a red dot. That means it's not in my data set, and it's pulled in together. So I'm future-proofing my data, even if the algorithm wouldn't actually catch that, which again, I think is pretty neat and pretty easy. From there, calculations. Pretty much if you're a desktop user, you're going to know how to use Prep calculations. They made a little boo-boo in the first place when the if statements were absolutely identical, apart from the syntax where it wasn't identical. So if you're using desktop and Prep, you drove yourself insane. That's also why I am the way I am. If you name your calculation exactly the same as the field that you're replacing, so let me zoom in on this. Let's go and join our measure and our metric together. Then by naming your calculation exactly the same thing as a data column that already exists, you basically overwrite it. So it saves a lot of replacing data sources and makes life a lot easier. In this case, I still need to get rid of measure, but it makes the point that I can go and load that data set in really nice and quickly and easily.
Carl, I'm only going to hold this for another 4 minutes.
Okay. Right, so LODs. We all love LODs. Level of detail counts, yes? That's not enough love for LODs. Can you imagine using Tableau desktop now without LODs? No, exactly. The monstrous thought, back to table counts. Right, so we can't do LODs in Tableau prep. Include and exclude, that makes sense. We haven't got any dimensions to play with, we're not choosing what's in our view. So in that case, we can still do a fixed. So if we add an aggregation step, we can go and say, we're going to go and fix whatever your dimension is. In this case, it's going to be my metric. And then colon, whatever my aggregated measure is going to be. Now, to add my aggregated measure, you can drag it across and then change the aggregation, or click on your aggregation for the measure that you want. Select average, and it'll go and drop it in for you, just saving you a few clicks. And again, stop driving yourself up the wall as you drag into the wrong place. To go and complete that fix, we're going to go and take that constant per measure, just join it back onto itself, and just go and delete off one of those extra join columns. It's another feature request that I've asked for. Devs, if you're listening, please, please. But otherwise, we're going to have our fixed value that we can then go and play with and work our way through from there. Then, there's one thing that I love about prep that I haven't really spoken about yet, and it's this changes shelf. You'll see lots of these little icons appear above most of our steps. That's all getting caught in this changes shelf. Imagine it's like an audit trail. You can control this quite well. So actually, it's the order of that audit trail that actually makes a difference as to what you see when. So let's go and decide, are we going to go to London or are we going to go to Edinburgh? Well, if I set up one calculation that's classed as London, its name is where to, set up one that's exactly the same, so it's actually going to overwrite it, but this time we're going to go to Edinburgh. Then what that's going to allow us to do is just go and show you how we actually affect the order of the data. So I'm just going to go and add one more changes step. And at the moment we have Edinburgh coming out of that data flow. But actually, if I go back into my audit log, I can drag around that calculation and drop it wherever I want to in my flow, especially if it's a little bit more complicated. And we're now choosing that we're actually going to London rather than Edinburgh. So super quick, super simple way to do that. And just for Laura's arm, my final tip will be the joy that is, I can go and add an output and structure this, send it into the server if I want to, but ultimately it's so much easier that anywhere along the data that you're happy with, you can go and preview in Tableau Desktop. Tableau creates a temporary extract, you can go and play with the data, see where you're up to, understand what you've got, and enjoy using prep. That's it.
Carl, and I do still have feeling in my arms.
Yay.
I'm going to have amazing guns at the end of this.
You have already.
Oh, charming. I don't know what to do to get it back on there. How do I get the thing back up?
Sorry for breaking you.
Eva's going to plug in anyway. So next up, we have Eva, who is a 2-time Zen Master. Thank you. A Tableau Social Ambassador, co-host and best-selling author of the book following Makeover Monday's success. And she is the head of BI at XSL and recently moved to London. Yay! Eva, come on.
I will take it and hold it for a little while, and at the end when I do my demo, I will give you a run back.
Thanks.
Okay. Give me a second to just plug myself in. Okay, we're in business. Hello everyone, it's great to see such a big crowd actually. I hope that I get to talk to lots of you afterwards as well. what I want to show is how to build a Voronoi chart in Tableau and what your data actually needs to look like so that you can do it. First up, actually, who has seen a Voronoi chart? Cool. How many of you have seen my tweet Voronoi chart? Yes. I still kind of look at the GIF, just mesmerized. So, what is a Voronoi chart and what does it have to do with football? You can see the picture here. A Voronoi chart is essentially a chart that has lots of polygons that partition a plane. So, in the football context, we have our players on the pitch, right? You see all the different dots here. And the Voronoi chart draws a polygon around each player to determine how much space is controlled by that player. What that means is, between one player and the next player around him or her, you have a line exactly going in the middle. And that goes all around the player with all the different edges, and that is the space control. So all the dots, all the points, all that space that falls within each polygon is closer to that player than to any other player on the pitch. That's essentially what we're saying here. What else could you do with a Voronoi chart if you don't have football data to play with? And I have only really seen it in the context of football, but I thought, let's do some research because I'm sure there's other things you could do with it. And the first one's actually my favorite. You could study tree canopies. There is a thing called crown shyness, and crown shyness is this situation, this phenomenon that the tree crowns don't touch. You can see a little bit of light around them, and they are positioned in a way, and they grow in a way that they don't touch when they sway. They all kind of sway, but they have this gap. And there are scientific papers about it. There's these applications. There's also stuff in microbiology and all that that other people can probably tell you a lot more about, but where you can also apply a Voronoi chart. If you think back to our good old friend John Snow here in London, who looked at the cholera outbreak in Soho in 1854, I believe it was. Must have been earlier. It's something 54. So what he looked at is which pumps were actually to blame. So in each of those polygons, if you can see it, there's a little triangle with P and then a number. That is the pump. And then you see all the cholera cases around it, and those are the cases within that polygon that are closer to that pump than to any other pump. And what I mean is, those pumps, that's basically the space controlled by the pump, so that's the cases caused by that pump, and then they're color coded in different ways. Another example is mapping the world's airports. So how much space do they, in theory, cover until there's the next airport? And then capitals of the world, and that doesn't actually then overlap with the countries, because some capitals are much closer to people in other countries than they are to some of their own people. And you can also find the closest tube stop to your home. Same principle again, and the last example is looking at Melbourne school zones. Now these are just things you find when you do a bit of Googling. Let's get into the technical components. So what do you actually have on a Voronoi chart? So in there, you have your data point or your seed. So in the football context, that is the player. You have a polygon around the seed, so I've tried to just highlight that with a darker line. And then you have the line in the midpoint between the seeds, or between two seeds, and the distance between those 2 points, where you can see that it's exactly in the middle between those two is that line. And what does the data need to look like? So I've tried to describe it, and then I'll show you the shape of the table as well. This is so that it's very simple in Tableau to build, because our approach is, if we can do all the data modeling in the database before you actually load it into Tableau, or, well, in this context Tableau, but any other tool we want to use, then what you've created is usable by everyone. And it's not down to someone building amazing trigonometry functionality in Tableau and these really advanced calculations. No, you do all of that in the database, and then anyone can build anything. So, we need to know where the players are, x and y coordinates of those players. We want to know the different points of the polygon. And here it's nice because they all have somewhere between like 4 to maybe 6 dots that shape that polygon. Then we need to know in what order to draw the polygon, but also where are things at what point in time. As you know, a game has 90 minutes in general, And during that time, when the video cameras film a game, they create per player on average about 30 data points per second. That's a lot of data, so it's about 3 million per game, 3 million data points. So we need to tell the database, but also then Tableaus in what order that those things happen. And then what's the size of the pitch? Because that determines where the edges are of our polygon. What team does the player belong to? Because then I can color it. How do we identify a player? So they need to have an ID. And where is the ball? That's also quite important. From a data perspective, when you look at the table in Tableau, this is what you'll see. And I've just marked above what actually I've used those fields for. So we've got our team on color, etc. And that will become more clear in the demo. But what I'm trying to show you here is put everything into the data set. Do all the data prep first. Don't do the data prep in the visualization tool. So now, let's build a Voronoi chart. Let me see if I can do this one-handedly. So I'll see if I can do that. Okay, so as you can see, there's a few tabs. I've built it a number of different times to see, is it still working? Is it still working? And it does. And we will start, and let me just go there. So we'll start first by putting our players on the pitch. And this is a bit crazy because it's the players and the ball. And then I want to know, actually, what team are they on? Okay, we're starting to see a little bit of something happening. We have ball, team 1 and team 2. Now we need to actually build it out. So I'm going to bring in, so the first frame X and Y is the position of my player at different points in time. And then I have these fields called Voronoi X and Y. And this is what's going to build our polygon. So let's do some dual axis fun. And we're doing that. And we can see stuff happening. And actually, now is the point where I need to tidy up before I get too far ahead of myself. I could have cleared the other sheet and taken all the formatting, but I don't want to pretend that that's exactly how it works, so we all have to do formatting. 0 lines need to go up as well. And maybe at some point, these will all be none by default. I know I'm among the right people if you're laughing at that. Okay, good. So now all the data points that I'm using in this data set, this is not 3 million, this is just 1,000, because otherwise we'd be looking at a very long animation afterwards. So I've just taken a data set of 1,000 frames. So now I want to look at just one point in time. So let's bring in our frame ID. Okay, this is getting a bit clearer, but I still have to tidy up somewhat. So I'm going to make my players and the ball circles, and then my Voronoi, I've said I actually need to have a polygon. Now we go a bit crazy again, and I need to tell Tableau in what order to build that polygon. So I have my Voronoi order field, which is another one that's created in the database. That goes in order, still not quite right, but we also need our person ID on the level of detail, and we're almost there. Now a bit of transparency and some borders. And with our players, I want some borders as well. Doesn't really matter how dark the black is and no halo. And we're pretty good. So, like I said, all that data has been prepared in advance. So we needed to break down how many frames are we actually going to use. If we have 25 frames per second, it's going to be excruciatingly slow because Tableau in the rendering of the animation, it will go 1 frame at a time. So we've cut it down to 9 frames per second. So we've stripped out some of that finer detail. Imagine you're watching like 90 minutes being played in this. But essentially, there is behind all of this, there's a Python script that actually takes the data and creates the additional fields that we need to have all of this going. Now I'm going to quickly show you the animation, and then I'll show you the tiny version as well that was pre-built. So here we go. Oh, let's play again. So in black, you have the little ball going up, and you see things happening, and there's the pink team in control of the ball, and at some point it's going to go out soon. And I've already set this to the fastest mode, but yeah, this would would just be much lower. So now the ball's out. It's going to go back in, and then we have a bit of shift in the dynamics. Now, ideally, what we want to do, and with we, I mean, people who want to use football data, who want to analyze this kind of situation, is to actually combine all of this tracking and position data with events data. Because then what we can do is say, well, there was a goal. What happened in the 20 seconds leading up to the goal? And you can do a lot more analysis. And I know some people say, well, this is really crude, you've just got dots and shapes. And yes, it's correct, but by stripping out the detail that would otherwise distract us, like colours and faces and all that, we can actually just focus on some of that other stuff. Oh, time's up. Okay. Very quickly, I made it into a nice dashboard. Anyway, you've seen the animation. So if you want to build this yourself, let me just show you the last slide. We have put some instructions on our website. So it's quite simple, excel.com/Voronoi, and you can download a PDF with all of this step by step. We have the Tableau instructions, but also how to prepare the data step by step, with links to our GitHub repository, with the scripts and everything. And if you're like, whoa, I don't want to go that far, I just want to do the Tableau stuff, we also have 1,000 rows, 1,000 row data set on the website, on that page, for you to download if you literally just want to build the Voronoi. Because then the data is prepared, you should be able to create the same thing, and hopefully you can then do tree canopies and color out breaks. And I'll keep down.
I will just take this off.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It is a joy, but get off the stage. Okay, so next up we have Lorna Eden, and she is a Tableau Public Ambassador. I didn't hear what you told me that you were, so she's a data nerd at JISC, generally. She is co-host of Workout Wednesday, Tableau Tip Tuesday, and the Northwest Tug. And she is our very own reigning tip battle queen. So come on over, Lorna. Hi. Wow, this is a very cool one. I'm Lorna Eden. I work at JISC, and I'm a senior data and visualization officer. There you go. Data nerd. First question. Who has heard of Workout Wednesday? Quite a lot. Who has done a Workout Wednesday? Okay, so half and half. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should be doing a Workout Wednesday. I'm not just looking at them. Okay? So, what is Workout Wednesday? Workout Wednesday is a weekly challenge where you solve problems, build business, and share knowledge. Workout Wednesday was the brainchild of Data.Monster Emma White and obviously Andy Grable. It challenges participants to recreate a dashboard from scratch using a small set of requirements. In short, the goal is to quickly grow your technical skills in Tableau so you can build more compelling visuals faster. So, 5 reasons why you should be doing it. It's curated by community leaders, so like I said, it was originally created by Andy Grable and Emma White. Then Roddy Zokovich and Luke Stanky took over. And then Anne Jackson joined, and then this year it was myself and Curtis who joined the community lead team. So each one of us all have different challenges and different ways of working things. So some of us like to use just table counts, and other people prefer LODs, but a lot of people use uppercase or just generally different business cases. A tweet from Andy, which said that I'm evil. I'm not that evil. I just learned from him, so that's how I get away with it. So the second reason is that
no matter, we try and keep up with the versions of Tableau, so if your business is stuck on an earlier version, is anybody on less than 10.5? Holy me, oh no. I'm so sad. Okay, anybody on 2019.2? So a few do. Okay, so those that are not on the latest version, this gives you the option to have a look at the latest version, some of the new features, and actually learn Tableau Desktop and actually understand it. So you can always go back to your business and say, okay, we need the new version because of this particular feature that you can build into your dashboards. So again, people are saying about it's a great way to understand brush up on Tableau skills, learn new functionalities, and you can actually get creative with bar charts. Who loves bar charts? Yay, bar charts! Third reason, the community. Is anybody a part, well obviously you're all part of the community because you're all here, but is anybody not a part of the Twitter community? Oh, you're a part of the Twitter. Twitter is a great place to share things and learn things from other people. So there's a lot of people out there that share blogs and just in general share great vids, but this is where we also share Workout Wednesday as well as LinkedIn and other places of social media. But it's great to actually get interaction, you can understand what people are doing. People have also recently started doing solution blogs for Workout Wednesday. So Donna Coles is one, and Rosario, they both just started doing solution blogs. So if you ever get stuck on a particular workout, just Google them and they will help you. So again, people are just saying that they came back for more, so they're enjoying Workout Wednesday. And Workout Wednesday is fun, I do promise you. It is fun. You should definitely do it. And there's lots of hints and tips from different people. Reason number 4, personal growth. So it's not just about learning Tableau Desktop, but you're actually obviously learning Tableau Desktop, but it's like a physical fitness. Workout Wednesday has the same effect of strengthening your Tableau skills. So if you don't believe me, then this is what people are saying. They knew that they could do things with certain features, but they couldn't understand how to do it, which is where Workout Wednesday comes in. So we help people understand the new features and going from forward. And finally, you learn about new and hidden features and functionality of Tableau. So who knew you could use measure names in parameters, parameter actions? Not so many of you. Some people did, yeah. So some of the Workout Wednesdays, again, we have the new features. So set actions was a big hit. Parameter actions was another big hit. Layout containers, show hide, all those sort of things. There's great things that you can learn from Workout Wednesday. So join us today. You can sign up and subscribe to our mailing list. So every time there is a new Workout Wednesday, you can get it straight to your inbox on Wednesday, maybe Tuesday evening. Or late Wednesday because everyone else is American, and you can get it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. And everyone else that's speaking tonight, just take note. Lorna's actually sorted the presentation out for me because she knows I'm terrible with tech. Okay, so next up we have new regular to the talk and new regular speaker, Sam Parsons. He has how many of the days now? Lost count. Every other day. And he was the runner-up in the recent IMViz agricultural feeder. And he's also senior database developer at Dyson. So over to you, Sam.
Try and find my presentation. Okay, good evening everybody, and thank you for having me back so quickly. For those of you that were here in the last user group, I was here and I presented my Tableau journey and my career path to date. So today, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about how I approach Tableau design. So, that's not actually happening on my screen, so that's helpful. Okay, so on screen what we've got here is a few of my Tableau public pieces of work. And the reason that I'm showing you, well actually, start off with to tell you is that these pieces of work have been done for various different topics. So a few of them are IMViz efforts, a couple of them are social projects like Viz for Social Good and Sports Viz Sunday, and then some of them are my own personal projects. So people that know me, they know that I love rugby union data, so there's some rugby union based visualizations there. Lorna, where are you? And the reason that I'm showing you these is that all of these have gone through the same process, and that process is what I'm going to talk about today. I have a process that works for me, and this process is how I stay on track with my visualizations on topic, and I'm going to talk around how that works for me. And we have a process flow here, and it all starts off with a plan. The plan, I cannot work by just diving into the data and off I go. I need to start to understand the topic that I'm going to be visualizing. I'm going to go into each of these in a little bit more detail as we go through. I then follow it up, because I'm visual, I need to actually be able to see what I'm going to aim for with my viz. So I need to do a mock-up. And like anything, you need to iterate, you need to go through a process of change, and it's a very important part of my sort of design process. And then what goes in hand with that is comparisons, and that is sort of a cyclical sort of relationship with the iteration. And I'll explain that in a minute. So to start with a plan, like anything, you have to do your research. Most of the stuff that I do on public, other than rugby union stuff, I don't really know about that topic itself. So if I'm getting involved in, say, Viz for Social Good, or I'm Viz feeder, then I need to do my research. And the way I do my research is I break it down into 3 different elements. To start off with, I need to understand what is pertinent issues around that topic. So I go to Google, like anybody else. And within Google, I look for a few main things. I look for news articles, I look for supplementary information that will help to add to the story, and also look for connected topics. And those connected topics can be sort of a bit more loosely connected to the main topic, and it will help direct the analysis, maybe to go further away from the main topic. I then use Pinterest. Pinterest is brilliant. If you don't use Pinterest, I would recommend get on there. Pinterest, basically, what I go for Pinterest for is the visualization sort of inspirations. So I look for the main topic, I'll type that in, so whatever I'm busy about, I'll type that into Pinterest, and I'll look to see what has been done, what has been posted. People who don't know what Pinterest is, I assume most of you will, but if you don't know what Pinterest is, it's basically a collection of, it can be artwork, it can be website links, it can be visualizations. You can get infographics on there. And visualizations are not just Tableau centric. So you get stuff that's done in Illustrator and stuff that's done in D3. Anything like that is inspiration for what you want to do. And then what I do with that is I start building my own either Pinterest boards, or I take them off and put them into my phone. So I've got inspiration on the go. Just anything. If I'm looking to do something, a new topic, and I think a radial chart will help tell that story, I'll put in and I'll start searching for radials. And the following point is I start searching Tableau Public as well around the topic. So I need to know what has been done before. I don't want to repeat anything that anybody else has done, or I can get inspiration as well from what other people have been doing. So that's the plan stage. The mocking up stage, for those of you that were here last time, you will know that I'm a design engineer as by qualification, so I'm a very visual person. So what I need to do to start off with is I sketch stuff. Now, I could be showing you really well formed sketches rendered particularly nicely, but that would be false for what my actual design process is. I do any sort of sketching like anybody else. It's very loose, very rough and ready. It's not well formed. It's just about trying to put ideas down on paper. That's a sketch of the last viz that I did, which was the golden record for the music feed around on IronViz. So that was the idea of me sketching out what the main radio on that viz was. So I go to the sketching to start off with, but the next stage is I need to produce what I call a wireframe, which is probably the wrong word for it. It's more like a mock-up. So a more sort of tangible sort of guide of where am I going to go with this. And what I do is I use Kevin Flerlidge's, if you know him, his favourite tool, which is PowerPoint. So on the left-hand side here, you've got a mock-up in PowerPoint of what I'm trying to aim for with the golden record. On the right-hand side was an actual screenshot taken from the Tableau viz at that point in time. You'll see that the one on the left in the PowerPoint is quite accurate, and that's because I iterate the mock-ups as I go through. And this was the last stage. But the key point here was that what I was trying to do on the left-hand side was I was trying to put box placeholders for text and charts that I knew I wanted to bring in, and see how I was using that space that I was giving myself. And then what I was doing was I was then putting it into Tableau and then seeing how that played back against what the mock-up plan was. And then we get into iteration. And this is something that I do an awful lot. It takes a long time to do as well. So if we look at the from the golden record, this is the main sort of radial chart that I produced in the golden record. This is the first iteration, well, not the first, but the first I'm showing you. And that is, it's got circles jittering around the outside. The second iteration was, I wondered, because it was a space-themed visualization, how would it look if I used light flares as if they were stars? And I quite liked it. So I thought, you know what, I'll continue with that. And so I'm looking at these, sorry. So I quite liked it, so let's keep that, and let's have a look at that, and we say, okay, they're looking quite bright around the edge there, maybe I need to change that. Second iteration, I reduced the size of the light flares, and I turned up the opacity. And then what that was doing was that was showing through, then bringing through the density plot, which was behind, it was showing with the circles, which is purple, sort of density plot behind there. And I like that even better, it looks better visually. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing one iteration against the other, and I'm comparing, going, is that good? Do I like it? Do I want to keep it? This one, again, the jitter plots around the outside have slightly changed, but you won't be able to see that on the screens because it is very, very minimal. But there is another change here, which is the lines around the outside. The one on the left, the original, gradiated in the colour. The one on the right is actually a dual axis line chart there. You've got lines of different thicknesses. If you were in the actual viz itself, you'd be able to see what's going on there. But again, it was me playing one against the other. Did I like it? And the answer was, no, I didn't, so I took it away. And this comparison, the very next iteration, so these are, all these pictures that I'm showing you are the very, each image is the next iteration in what I was doing with this chart. So now we're looking at the chart down in the bottom right-hand corner. The original is a jitter plot with just the light flares, and the one on the right is a more ordered lollipop chart where I extended the axis back up to the arm that was coming out from the radial. And I like that more. And I'm doing this for every single visual change on my dashboards. I do this every time. And then I'm checking to see what happens when you select a mark. Do I like that? I do. But how do I compare them? What I do with it is I load it into Twitter. Each image I load into Twitter, so then I can bring it onto my phone. And the reason that I do that is because with your phone, you're able to scroll with your thumb, just back and forth, just looking between the images, and see if you do like the changes. You can do it on the go. You can do it at work, at break, at lunchtime, when you're out with the kids, whatever you're doing. It's there, ready, for you can continually look at it. You don't need your laptop. If we go back to this plan, because I'm conscious I'm going to run out of time if I don't speed up. If we go back to this plan, what I want to focus on here is this iteration and comparison piece. It is key that you continually look back at what your plan is and your mock-ups are. Play it back, so make it remain on message, remain on topic. Those changes that you're making in the charts, does it work for the thing that you're trying to get to? And then the last point that I'm going to talk about is a review. What we do with our Tableau Public is or Tableau, is we quite often will put it out for others to critique it. Well, why don't we start doing our own critique of our own visits before we publish them? So this is something I've started doing this year. So this is me looking at the white space in this particular visualization, identifying it, and then calculating how much white space, which is 40%. And then I've only got a couple more bits. And then the other thing you can do is why not start looking at the rule of thirds, where you break up your chart, your visualization into 3 pieces, X and Y, and look to see how the composition of your own visualization is working. And that rule of thirds can be broken down again into each segment. And this is something that I'm now doing with all my visualizations to have that review before I publish them to make sure that they look right. So this is what works for me, and hopefully you might take something away from that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. Okay, so next up we have Diego. So Diego is a Tableau Forums ambassador. He moved here from Chile around a year ago and joined. Outrageous. And joined data school. What is it? 74 now? Or yeah, close enough. Okay, over to you, Diego.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to welcome to unleashing the potential of our community forums. I know it's a bit of a cheesy title, but I'm basically here to preach about the forums. So, well, Laura already introduced myself. Introduced me. My name is Diego. I'm Pablo Community Ambassador, and I think the only point I want to mention here is that when I applied to do this talk, I didn't know I was becoming an ambassador. So now that I became an ambassador, I think it's important to point that everything here is my own, not representing the people from the community forums. So first things first, why I think it's important to talk about the community forums. The forums are probably the first starting point for everyone who's learning Tableau. If you have a question and if you Google something, you're gonna get either an answer from the forum or maybe on this blog. But also, I feel like people outside the forums don't really talk much about the forums. So now that I became a Tableau ambassador, I think I decided to share some of the forum love. They're a fantastic place to learn and improve your skills, either if you're starting or if you want to practice. And they have much more potential. Today the forums are basically a question and answer of technical stuff, but they could be much more. They are our community side, and it's the place where we could create it and we could provide feedback and make it much more to our needs. And I think that's the message that I want to convey today. So the two things that I want to cover first is how the forums can help you, and then how can you help the forums. So starting by how the forums can help you. If you're starting with Tableau, the forums are a great repository of questions. It's very, very, very likely that someone already had a similar question that you had, that it has been answered, and probably it has been answered more than once. And if that hasn't been the case, it's very, very likely that your question is going to be answered, if it's a normal, reasonable question, it's going to be answered within 5 minutes or something like that. And there are a lot of ambassadors, a lot of people answering questions every day from all over the world. So even if you are posting London 4 in the morning, probably you're gonna get somewhere else in the world answering your questions. However, keep in mind if you are posting something like very obscure or very clear, it may take some time, or actually it may never ever be answered. You're also gonna find really good answers and from many different approaches. The Tableau ambassadors, most of them are Tableau certified. There are a lot of Zen masters within the people answering questions. So I think it's very, very important. You are getting Zen masters answering your Tableau questions for free. So if you are learning Tableau, keep that in mind. It's really, really good point to start and improve. That said, how to pose successful questions. This is part in the community guideline, but also I think it's my duty to mention it here. If you want your questions to be answered fast or with as many interactions as possible, make sure you write a good question. If you can provide examples, drawings, images, or anything that could contribute to make it more clear, do it. Secondly, it's very important to upload a workbook. Believe me, it's really, really hard to troubleshoot something if you can look at it. So if you can either recreate the issue with dummy data, or because you can upload it because of compliance issue, do it, because it's going to make it way easier for the people that is answering the questions. And more importantly, be thankful. Everyone who's answering questions is a volunteer there. Be respectful, and you can mark the questions as helpful, you can mark the answers as correct. But I also believe it's very important if you can to write something like, hey, thank you, this is great, thank you for your patience, thank you for your help. But the forums can be much more than just for people that is learning. Also, if you are developing your skills, the forums are amazing. We already have talked about the different community initiatives like Workout Wednesday, Prepping Data, Makeover Monday. But if you want extra challenge every 5 minutes, you're gonna have a different question from a real person, a real business problem that you can answer, and from all the spectrum of Tableau questions. It can be from either Tableau Server, Tableau Prep, or desktop. And even if you are not interested in answering the questions, if you manage an analytics team, it's a really good place to find where the people is having more issues when learning Tableau. So if you are developing a training program, it's also a really good point to start. It's a good point to learn from others. I've learned a lot, and I continue learning every day. All the Tableau ambassadors usually post different things, the people that's also answering questions post the different approaches, and you can see them all. A lot of the time someone will give up an answer, but that won't discourage other people to give a different approach. And that's really, really great, because it's a constant learning of tips and tricks, and especially when people in the forums is asking a lot of tricky or complicated things that, to be honest, most of the time you're not even meant to do with Tableau. You learn different approaches and tips to solve those issues. Also, other point is, when I was planning this talk, I had a call with Chiara, which manages the forums too, and she was like, well, I think something that goes underrated in forums that you actually can contact the devs with a lot of ease. You can tag them, you can show your questions in the ideas section, and they will try to answer, or someone will encourage them to answer your queries. And well, following that point, there is also the ideas part in the forums where you can upload your ideas, you can post something, and just to mention, in the last release, 14 of those ideas were released into the program. But are we using the forums enough? And that's the only part of my talk. And here I wanted to take as an example when the acquisition of Tableau by Salesforce, when it was talking Twitter, there was a lot of interaction, There were like, here it says like over 1,000 retweets, over 70 comments, 2,000 likes, all of that happening on Twitter. Then I've heard a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I prefer to interact in Twitter because it's super easy. But going to something that's similar to the community forums like Reddit, you can find like 70 comments in a discussion when like Salesforce like to buy Tableau. But then if you go to the community side, you'll see, well, probably the people in the back will see, but it says 2 replies, and one of them is from the person that posted, and this is like the official communicate. And what I think is very important to point here is that Amanda, who's the community manager for Tableau, posted this at 1, then she had a question at 2 o'clock, and at 1:30 she answered to that same question. So we could have created a much more rich discussion there with actually Tableau employees giving their opinion as Tableau officials said, but we wasted because we are putting our conversations outside the community space. This happens for like all the discussion topics that are not just technical questions there. So I think like that's an important point that I'm gonna close then. Well, currently the forums are a great place if you have technical questions. The forums are a good place to communicate with Tableau officials, but why are we not using the forums enough? Why are we not using them beyond technical things? Today the forums are undergoing some changes. They are changing the way the forums are gonna work, and it's a really good time for you to give feedback on how would you like the community side to be. Because like if people do not provide that feedback, it's very hard for the people who's working in the forums and developing this community side to make it the way that we want to actually work. So yeah, that's what I encourage you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diego. While I just flip back. Oh, sorry. Wrong button. Before I invite Nisa up, if you haven't already signed in and got a name badge, please do so. Make sure you come and find one of us before we leave, otherwise you won't get a freebie. Okay, so next up we have Nisa, and she is an analytics consultant and has several Viz of the Days to her name. She is a Tableau Public featured author and proud mummy to one of the cutest cats in London.
Thank you all to be here. And today I'll be talking about adoption and enablement in a self-service platform. So it will be very quick because I just have 10 minutes. So I'm already saying if you guys need to talk to me after the talk, I will be free to raise any points that you want to talk about. So we will cover the vision, then the expectations, the challenges, the reality that it is, just empowering the community within the companies, and then some tips and approaches that myself help the customers with. So the vision. The companies will want to have a company that is data-driven. So they will empower the user. They will give the tools to harness the power of data. So the expectations there is that you will drive the culture of analytics. You will automate some of the workflows that you already have, and you will have value from what you are doing. Not just the value, that in the end will have an effect on the company on monetary value, but also in some savings. So what are the expectations? It is here the expectation, because we are using Tableau, which is quite user-friendly, is that the expectation in relation to time is a process that will be quick. And on that quick time, the users will learn a lot. So the return of investment is great. And this is a principle that the majority of companies come from, because it's a very user-friendly tool. The reality is also that they are expecting this on a self-service platform, that the user will do this on top of their normal job. So you'll have a normal job, and on top of that, will drive a community, a culture, and events to drive the engagement and adoption. So, as I said, the challenge is already time. The first thing is time. The second challenge that we will have is normally we will have companies that are really fond of Excel, so it's a mindset of Excel. We have to have the business buy-in too, so the support so you can drive that community internally. Also, there is the fear. Normally when you come with a new tool to a company, there is that fear that, oh, so I will start using Tableau, it will replace my work. Because before I used to take about days to do this task, now there's this tool that runs by itself. So you have to overcome that too. And finally, there are some companies that instead of just giving you one tool to choose, they will give you the choice between tools, which makes the things a little bit more complicated. So on that self-service note, the reality that we have is you will have the tool that you can learn. You can have a platform where you have the links to get that information on how to learn yourself. But what happens normally is there's a lot of information outside, and you have a new tool, and you don't have any help or support to tell you how you should consume that knowledge. But one of the things that is really important is not just giving someone a car without teaching them how to drive, because we know what will happen, right? Some will be good, some like me, not so much. But you have to teach them how to at least navigate through the process. Also, there is a risk, if you just leave the users by self-service, there is a risk that you may not be learning how you should. So you may kind of see, oh, I can do this with a trick, which isn't the best way of learning how to do what you want to do. And then you will propagate that knowledge to other users. You won't be having attention to best practices or even governance. So later on, this can become a really challenge within the business. So, setting the expectations. So the expectations is that the adoption, enablement, and engagement is very short. But to do something that is sturdy, that it can propagate that knowledge, it is a long process. The first part that you do on adoption is you have that kind of like sparkle, so where people start using the tool. Once you start using the tool, then you have to support, you have to get a helping hand, so people have to know where to go next. What do I normally do when I'm helping my clients? The first approach is have one center of information. So the first point where anything data related will be there. The second is have some users that are an extension of your analytics tool, team. And these can be called ambassadors, can be called data champions or power users. Then have some journeys set for that people. Even if it is self-service, where you are leveraging what is out there in the community, at least have a plan so they know, oh, first of all, I have to see the videos. The next step, I have to do the workout Wednesday, or I have to use the forum. So you start leveraging all these little nuggets that you have in the community already. Then you will have also support, office hours, or as many call it, doctor sessions, which is that allocated time of one-to-ones. What is that? So you come with a challenge, you are learning self-service, you are learning Tableau, and you have a challenge. Even though you Google is your best friend, even though you did all of that, you cannot find an answer. So you'll have someone that is a specialist, that has more knowledge of the tool, that will spend about an hour and a half to help you to overcome the challenge. And finally, at the same time we are doing education on the tool, have some data literacy, because it isn't just the learning how to do it, it's the learning of why we are doing this. Because we have to drive value from what we are doing. And also try to get some business buy-in. Well, let's look at some of those points. Embedded analytics. So embedded analytics is that first point that I said. It's a central point where it is the entrance for anything data related. It can be a web page, it can be a portal, but it's something that has your They have templates also. So you can have all of that as just a central point. People will relate, so they will get a little bit more used to the product itself, and you will have more excitement around data, analytics, and the tool itself. The other thing that you gain warranty with this is if you have a global company, you ensure that every user within your company has the same UX UI experience. So you don't create a gap between users just because they are geographically on the same level. So the ambassadors that I was talking, and the data champions, so the ambassadors will be people that are evangelists, people that will be organizers. Also will be the people that will kind of go around business and collect the value stories, because that is what will get you the business buy-in. What is the advantage for those people? Is they will have more exposition to the leadership. On the other hand, you have the data champions or power users. These ones will be people that are very technical. They are the first line of support, and they are really the extension of an analytics team. And what they have on it for them is the upskill. Developing a community. Leverage internal channels, such as Slack, Convo, Spark. Leverage that for the community to help each other. Then have the office hours, so you have that time allocated for them. Finally, just create an event, and you can leverage again Makeover Mondays, workshops that you have hands-on, and also user groups. You can have internal user groups where you have people from the outside world, and I'm saying Tableau community, to speak on those Tableau user groups. Now, how do we get the business buy-in? Collect value stories. How do you collect those value stories? You help someone. Go back and ask that person how their team are doing. What was the efficiencies that they earned by using Tableau or Allchin or Tableau Prep? Make them fill a form where they say not only the story, but you can quantify the help. Because it will be that you will take to the leadership. And then the leadership, looking at those values, will have buy-in, will support you, and give you even more budget for the next months or years to come. In the end, what I want you to take from this is the user, it should be in a user-centric approach. Meaning, you have to give time to your users. You have to allow them to upskill. And on the other hand, you should collect your value stories, because it will be that will drive your journey through adoption and enablement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nisa. Okay, so next up we have Louise, and as Louise makes her way up. So Louise studied engineering and worked for a year as a researcher. She didn't tell me researching what, so we'll have to quiz her later on. She is another DSer, so DS11, I think, yeah. And she said that she loves making her vizzes more dramatic by adding bold colours. So if anyone else is a colour fan, Louise is your lady. I'm getting there, slowly. There you go. Thank you, Louise. Sorry.
Yeah, so a bold orange for you guys. So I don't have all the accolades that previous brilliant speakers before me have, but I have a thing to say. Yes, yeah, right, just thinking. But I have a thing or two to say about organisation documentation. Why do? It is sort of a dry topic, but I'm sure everyone in this room has been handed a workbook or has guiltily given away a workbook with data panes that look something like this. So fields that aren't named clearly, sets and parameters that have default names, calculations that look like this, calculation 1 with a space, calculation 1 with 2 spaces. And if any of you have knowingly, like if you've known better and you've given someone a workbook that looks like this, just get out. where the data sources are just duplicates of themselves over and over again, and no one knows what the true data source is. So it's super important to circumvent this, to spare everyone a headache, and make sure you actually have the correct data flowing throughout your business. So in this talk, I'll be going through desktop and server. If you've been to Tiny Tableau Talks in June, there will be some overlap, but I will be covering some new content as well. First of all, name your field something understandable. You should all know this already, but surprisingly, some people don't do it. So name the fields something descriptive, as descriptive as you can make it, without being too long. Name all your measures, all your calculations, and I notice I still put quantity as QTY, because I forgot to change that in this one, but write quantity. Likewise, just name everything something understandable so no one has to drag and drop into the view to figure out what's there. Annotate your calculated fields. Not many people do this, but people definitely should, because everyone has a different logic inside their head to do similar things, and it can be difficult for someone to understand your logic that makes sense to you. So comment on it, tell your user how to use a field, where to put it, what to do with it. It just makes everything easier for everyone else. Configure default number formats. So an example of where this is useful is perhaps sample superstore discount. So someone who's new to the data might not know that discount in superstore needs to be compared to a percentage or a decimal. They might think, like if it's a CSV, that it was already a percentage. So spare everyone that confusion and the potential of getting the wrong data and coming to the wrong conclusions, configure your default number formats, and do that within the data pane, not within the pills on the marks cards. Use folders to group similar fields. So this is great for fields like IDs or dates, ones that you use often, but get dispersed within, get lost within your data pane if you've got loads of fields. So create folders for those. You'll know exactly where they are for quick referral. Comment on your fields. So this isn't one that you need to do for everything, but it's great for fields like segment, example superstore, where a newcomer to your business might not know what segment is, but maybe it's a term that's commonly used within your business, so you don't want to rename it. You can comment on it, so when you hover, you'll see the segment in the type of customer. Color code your sheets and dashboards. So this is a great visual way of grouping together what sheets belong in which dashboards. So you don't get confused, because I don't know about you guys, but I take ages to read things. So the colours are really great for me to match what goes with what quickly and easily. Moving on to server. So sites. What you could have potentially, so I'm going to go through some options. You can have an internal and external site within your server. So what I mean by that is an internal one for everything that happens within your business, and external for anything that's client-facing. Likewise, you can have multiple external ones if you have different clients that you want to keep completely separate, so things can't be transferred between sites. So you keep everything with a wall between it. That is an option. Another option to organize your server would be to have different sites for different departments or different sectors. So if you're a big business with completely different sectors, you might want to keep things in separate sites. That is up to you. And this is a mix and match scenario, so you can have multiple internal sites, one external site, whatever works best for your business. So as an example, at TIL, the Information Lab, we have different sites for Data School and the Information Lab. So how to organize your project folders. So I know in many businesses your server gets super messy with workbooks and folders all over the place. Everyone just makes their own, it's free for all. So it's best to start off with some sort of organization. So this is a screenshot from the Data Schools one. So we have a folder for different groups of people. So one for all the data schoolers, one for all the coaches, one for our client projects. So in your case, it could be one for finance, one for manufacturing, one for consulting, different departments that you have within your business. So if I go into cohorts, you'll see another set of folders to further organize workbooks. So we have DSs that are in training and DSs that are on placement. And if we go further into that, we have folders for each of the DSs. If I choose DS11, which is my cohort, you can see we have folders for each of our members of DS11. So you don't need to go into this much folder hierarchy in your business. This works for us because we use it sort of like a storage space for everything that we do individually, so it doesn't get shared between us very much. Smiling at the GIFs. Yeah, we love that. You can do that. Yeah. So within your business, it might not make more sense instead of loads of folders within folders to have one top-level folder, so say finance, and then within that you have folders for curated, certified production-ready dashboards, ones that everyone uses, ones that you know are correct, to go in, for example, an operations folder, and then have a separate folder for everything that is self-service. So you don't clutter, you've got a top-level folder with loads of workbooks that are only seen once or twice. You can have everything in a self-service folder, and maybe have individual user folders within that, it's up to you. So that just keeps everything separate, and you can later promote things that are in self-service if it proves to be really useful after you've double-checked the data, make sure that everything's correct before it goes into the workbooks that everyone uses. So I have 2 tips for making permissions easier. So lock your permissions at a project level. So this means that everything within a project will have the same permissions. So this is both for simplicity's sake and to ensure that everything within your project folder has uniform permissioning. So this is very important for if you have certain security precautions, where you don't want individual users maybe having work with slightly different permissions that can let people in that you don't want to see. So just lock it up at project level. And make groups match permissioning. If you don't already do that, make groups for each of your teams, each of your departments, and permission by group. So you don't have to do it individually by users. Publish data sources. So going back to the image we saw before of those data sources repeating themselves, and these are all embedded in the workbook as well, so other users can't actually see that data. So publish it, consolidate your data sources, make sure everyone is looking at the same thing. So that's super important so that no one comes up with different numbers and no one really knows what the true numbers are. Have consolidated, vetted data sources that everyone can refer to. And publish them instead of embedding them as extracts in your workbooks. And obviously, as goes without saying, don't republish things with the same name. Clearly people do that. This is actually from our server, so you won't do that. Just a reminder, this is what the published data source looks like in the Tableau desktop. Delete unused workbooks and data sources. So, like I mentioned before, servers usually get cluttered with loads of stuff. So what you can do is set a protocol or a set of rules to delete things that haven't been used. So the first step would be to create a view that shows you all the data sources and workbooks that haven't been used. And establish, like maybe you're the admin or whoever's in charge of the server, to make a rule for however many days or months that a workbook or data source hasn't been used, can then be can then be disposed of or moved to an archive folder. So this could be anything that hasn't been used after 6 months, 30 days, depending on your business. So this is an optional one, to move the data sources or workbooks to a bin or archive folder before deletion, and then inform your users, maybe for an automated email or something, to tell them that their content is up for deletion, so they can either go in and use it, or tell you that this is archive content that they want to keep even though they're not using it. And then have a script, a Data.Monster script that automatically deletes content that's in the bin folder after a certain number of days. So by following these steps, it just cleans the fat of your server, so everything's a bit neater, you don't have things that are viewed once and never again. And lastly, create guides for your users. Have a training document or a set of guidelines that tell your users how to document and how to use the server respectfully. And You can also even have incentives to incentivize your users to follow these best practices and avoid giving other people headaches. One thing I've know some businesses do, which is really interesting to me, is to gamify the process. So if your company has some sort of reward system, where you reward your employees for following best practices or good behavior, good work or whatever, you can gamify the process. So if they actually have followed your best practices, they'll get whatever reward your company gives people. And another one, which I think would probably work really well, is to have a rule that workbooks and stuff can't go into production unless they comply with the best practices that you've set out already. So this ensures that everything in production is clean and it's documented so that everything in production environment is just the best example of documentation, and people start to take on the best practices by habit if you have these sort of rules in place. Thank you for listening. That's a bit of a dry topic, but very important.
Thank you very much, Louise. And next up, we have our very own Pablo Gomez. I kind of assumed that you'd set your... No? Okay, cool. It's fine. Take it easy. Take it easy. Okay, so most of you will know Pablo. He's co-leader of the London Tug. He is a Tableau public ambassador and has always been fascinated by data and design. And more importantly, for those watching us now, he's been running the live stream so far and has just handed over to Paul Chapman. So if it drops out, blame Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Laura. Yes, I've been fascinated by data visualization and especially design as well, on how to incorporate those two together. And I've been doing quite a lot of long form or kind of infographics lately. I could talk for hours about this because I'm really, really passionate, but we only have 10 minutes. Sarah's already counting there, sure. Yeah, so we're going to talk about three main things. One of them, design, floating elements, and transparency. And for me, those three are the perfect combination to create a great, great piece. So let's assume for a second we have the perfect data set. Carl has already explained how to create a great data set, or we are participating on Makeover Monday, and we have a really, really good data set. And we're going to talk about first about design. So what is design for us, right? Or at least for me. And this is for me, this is personal. So one way or another, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you more or less some of the ideas of how I operate, same what Sam did, but specifically on those 3 points. So this is me having basically an idea, get an idea, or I'm participating on Makeover Monday sometimes, and I work, and most of you already know, I work with a graphic designer, and what we do is we sit down together if we can, and if we cannot sit down together, we just communicate via Zoom, and we say, okay, I've got this idea, I'm going to work on this, let's start talking about different ideas on how we're going to do it. So we explore what we're going to say, what story we're going to tell about the data, and how we're going to show it. So the first thing we do is he sets to create some mock-ups, some ideas, while I start working mainly on the data. And when I say mainly on the data, it's just to see where we're going to focus. We have different mock-ups usually. We usually have like 2 or 3 different ideas, and then we work on elements that we're going to be using for that visualization, and we set color palettes and typography, which are essential, and they're really, really interesting, really important on every one of our designs. Then we go and I start working on Tableau. So basically what I do is I usually sketch myself on a piece of paper. I have an idea of what we want to show, plus what we have already done in terms of graphic design. And then I start working on Tableau. And the main thing is, like Sam was saying, every time I create a different iteration, every time I work on a different on a different layout, I create a copy, an image, and then I look at it and start seeing how everything is developing. So here you have the color palette for one of the latest visualizations that I created about Game of Thrones. And this is one of the first ideas that we had. So this was the first mock-up. This is the second one. As you can see, the map all the badges are inside the map instead of on the side, and different colors. This is a third idea, as you can see on the left. And then we had a fourth idea, and when I saw the fourth idea, I said, this is the one. It was love at first sight. And when I started working on the visualization, and we ended up creating the V's. We also created a whole map, or basically a brand new map for this visualization, and we used different colors, those colors that you saw on the palette before. And also, we identified that the main three killers during the whole seasons of Game of Thrones were ladies, were 3 women. So we wanted to talk about them, the story was all about them, but we didn't want to use the pictures. So what we did is we vectorized the images, and we ended up with a vectorized image of each one of them. And the last thing we did was we created basically the badges for each one of the areas that were going to be part of the map later on. So that's basically how we created that specific visualization. Then it comes to floating. For me, floating is one of the main things, one of the main features when I'm creating one of these long or infographic sort of pieces. And mainly because it gives you the possibility, it gives you all the chances for you to actually move around each one of the elements and each one of the text or visualizations where you actually want it. And the good thing about floating is that you can set a background and you can actually start moving and working on your white spaces and all the stuff. So this is another visualization I created a couple of years ago. My son is a very big fan of Manchester City, and Sergio Aguero is one of his biggest, the main players that he likes. And in 2007, November 2007, Sergio Aguero broke the all-time score record at Manchester City. He was the top scorer. So we collected a lot of data from different areas, different articles, and we created this visualization. And in this visualization, this is fun because all you have that is placed as background is the image of Sergio Aguero at the bottom right, which is this one, and the header and the image of him running. So those are the only 2 elements that are part of the background. The rest of the visualization is floating, right? So that gives you a whole opportunity for you to place each one of the elements that you want in the right place. So what we did is we started working, so this is the same visualization split in 2, so we can have a little bit of understanding how it works. And what we did is, from that image, we removed the whole background, and what we did is we started working on placing everything on each one of the places in the right locations. We had the header, the badge, some text, a bar chart where we were showing which other players also broke the record, and how long it took for each one of them in terms of games to break the record. Then we had the second part of the visualization where we had the only static image or background, and then each one of the other elements showing where the goals have been, how many kilometers you guys ran on average on every game, and how long over the season has been very, very consistent. So those are the 2 main things. So in my way, every time I create or work on a visualization, design a clear idea of what we want to show, how we want to show it, focus on the story that we're going to tell, floating elements, move your elements anywhere you want, wherever you want. How's the time? Great, excellent. And then the last point is transparency, right? And not long ago, we were not able to have transparency on our graphs. So we had to make some difficult solutions sometimes to be able to do it. So when I created this visualization, I think it was 10.5, if I'm not mistaken, that I created this. So then again, that was the background, as you can see. I added some text as a floating element. I added the badge as a floating element as well. And then I had to bring onto the visualization the bar chart. And this is what happened. So unfortunately, the Savior was late or broken. And on those days, we didn't have transparency on charts. So I had to figure out a way to actually achieve what I wanted to achieve, which was getting the leg right into the graph. So I had to go to Photoshop, cut Sergio Abuelo's leg, and bring it all the way back into the grids. Nowadays, with our current version of Tableau, it would have been a lot easier and very, very simple to do. Now, the last thing that I want to talk is, with all the floating elements and transparency comes what I call layers. And whoever has worked before, thank you Tableau for transparency and graph. Thank you so much, we love it. Whoever has worked with software like applications like Photoshop or Illustrator know what I'm talking about, the different layers, the different positioning within a visualization or a design. So with transparency comes hand in hand with layers and obviously floating elements. 1 minute 28. So what I want to show you is my concept, my idea of, in this case, in this visualization, the only thing that was the background was the map, the header, and the rest is floating. And the way that we set it up, the way we created it, was like this. So basically, you can see the different layers, you can see the way that it works, how we managed to place each one of those layers within the visualization. So in this point, it's where you have to be very careful, and you have to understand what's going to be the interactivity, what's going to come at the top, what's going to come second, third, and so on. So in one way or another, you end up creating your perfect visualization. And number 4, I know I said 3, but number 4 as a bonus, don't forget to always join a project. There are really, really good projects out there. Makeover Monday, Sports Biz Sunday, James, somewhere earlier there. Storytelling with Data Challenge, Fees for Social Good, Iron Quest, Sarah. Yes, number 2, create your own Tableau public profile. Download visualizations and learn from others. It's great how much you can learn from what others have been doing. Make your pieces downloadable. The same way you can download visualizations from someone else can download your visualizations and learn, so make them downloadable. Give credit every time you are inspired by someone. It's great when we all do that. And number 3, keep busy. And number 4, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Pablo. Hopefully we've still got a live stream going.
Yes, it's still going.
Yes. Okay, so finally, last but by no means least, some might say headlining, we have James. So James is co-lead of Sports Biz Sunday and just became Tableau Public Ambassador. Woo! And he's an analytics consultant. So I'm going to hand over to you, James.
Thank you very much. Cool, so I'm going to talk about grammar. It's the last session of the day. We'll keep it snappy, everyone's got plenty of energy. I like to start my presentations with a definition. So I typed in grammar into Google, and it came up with this pretty long, lengthy, complicated whole system structure, morphology, blah, blah, blah. And luckily, just underneath this on Google, we had what is grammar in simple words. So here it is. Grammar is the study of words, how they're used in sentences, and how they change in different situations. So I'm here to talk about the grammar of graphics and exactly what that means, and the decisions that you make when you're creating charts can come down to several things. So Pablo there was just talking about layers. It's about creating layers within your visualizations and understanding each of the little design choices that you make when you're putting them on top of each other. And they actually mention in this little definition the craft of letters. I picked this up earlier when I was going through this. And that is what we're doing. We're being craftspeople. We're creating things to help other people, our audiences, understand visuals and make sense of some kind of information. So that leads us nicely on to the grammar of graphics, which was created a long time ago, but has been made popular by the godfather of R, a guy called Hadley Wickham. So I'm going to infuse a little bit of R in this talk. Here is our final definition of the day. The grammar of graphics is a tool that enables us to concisely describe the components of a graphic. So again, we're going back to breaking it down and trying to work out in our sentence what our actual visualization is doing. Now, Hadley talks about 7 different stages of the grammar of graphics, so we're going to go through each of those. We're going to think about them and compare them to what's going on in Tableau. So you'll see here, I've split each of the next 7 sides into 2 different sides of the page. On the left-hand side for you, we've got the actual grammar, the stuff that we're writing out. And for this example, because we're using Hadley Wickham's grammar of graphics, this is R code. And the hashtag, when you're running a line of code in R, when you write a hashtag, it doesn't actually run that line. So it's kind of a commenting feature. And of course, we've been very polite in our comments because we're British. So, first thing we've got data. We're loading our data in, and in R, I'll write view, Arsenal stats. So the information that I've actually used in this is from a Makeover Monday a couple of weeks back, where they chose a football data set, so obviously I was very keen to get involved in that one. And this is what's happening. We're loading in our data. This is our Tableau screen. Nothing's being done to it, we're just loading it in. And the first line of code that we're going to write in our plot, so in our graphing plot is called ggplot. If anyone didn't know, and I didn't realise this before, the GG actually stands for the grammar of graphics when you're making ggplots. So it's actually calling the data and it's binding it to the chart that we're about to make. So that's the first thing. I don't need to talk too much about data. There's a big sign over there. That's why we're all here. Next up is the geometric form. So this is the representation. We're choosing to represent our data in certain ways, so in different types of pixels on the screen. That might be in our beloved bar chart, it might be in the line chart, it might be in a pie chart. And when you're calling the geom bar, so geom is short for geometric, it's telling us, or it's telling Tableau, what kind of feature we want to represent our data with. You can think of this a little bit like the Show Me panel here. When you first started to use Tableau, I use this a lot. Just shifting between graphs, having a look at how my data is represented by different geometric shapes, be that circles or bars, etc. Next thing we're going to do is the mapping. So we're going to choose the data and the information that we want, and we're going to map it to our graph. So in this example, I had my metric, which was on the x-axis, and my stat, which was on the y-axis. So again, on the left, this is how you do it in R. You write it out, you're binding that particular information from the data to the chart. Next, same kind of thing here. AES, that stands for aesthetics. So this is all about the presentation. So before, we had the representation. Was it going to be a bar chart? Was it going to be a line chart? Now we're choosing the aesthetics of our graph. So we're thinking about all the different elements of design. We're thinking about the different color choices that we have, the different shapes that we might want to use, how we want to represent data using different sizes. By thinking about it in a way where you're layering this, instead of just going straight to Show Me and saying I want a bar chart, you're thinking about how the data might start to look when you're applying different types of presentation to your graphs. Next up, we've got the statistics. So this is a fairly simple one within Tableau. You're just putting your data in, and you're thinking, do I want to represent my data either as a sum, as an average, a minimum, a maximum, whether you want to see all of your data just as a dimension, rather than aggregating it to some kind of level. Next up, you're thinking this one, you don't use this quite as much, I don't think, in Tableau, but I'll give you a Lorna-esque Tableau tip. The dodge position means that when you're stacking information, a lot of the time, especially when you're starting to use Tableau, you'll like the look of this fancy bubble chart because it looks great. It's not something that you can do out of the box necessarily in Excel. And you can have them like that, or if you go into our analysis menu here, you can actually turn that off and they'll actually stack on top of each other and you've got kind of a nice psychedelic CD looking thing. I'm not saying it's a good visualization, but it's quite a handy way of thinking about whether you want your information to be stacked on top of each other or you want it to be jittered or as it is not stacked in our thing on the left there. Next up, we go into the world of pretty fancy charts. So I've put up an example here by Alex, and this is the different types of coordinate systems that we can use. So generally, when we're going straight into Tableau, we're going to be using what's known as a Cartesian coordinate system, and that just means we've got our x going along the bottom, and then our y going up and down. And the coordinate system is honestly much easier in R when you're doing this. You type in a simple line of code, and it's going to wrap that x and y around your graph to make it radial. I believe Klaus has just posted a nice tutorial, a guy called Klaus Schultz, so if you want to find that tutorial on how to make these kind of radial charts in Tableau, then he's a good bet. And Sam's made some pretty cool ones as well. He felt his inspiration earlier, and there's plenty of circles in there. Last thing we've got is facets. So facets in R are what small multiples are. They're really useful for comparing lots and lots and lots of different charts and seeing for the little changes that you can make out between those various charts. So in my case, for my example, you'll see in a second, I decided to look at 3 different players for Arsenal, and I had them each in a single facet. And it's a really handy way of just, you've got a single chart, but you're effectively duplicating that chart over lots and lots of different metrics. In my case, players. In this case, we've got by Neil, it is different counties, I believe. He's not gone over the top, but there's quite a few little multiples there. So, this is where you bring it all together. You'll see that I've included the little pluses. This is where it comes back to being a grammar. You're writing out individual sentences covering each of the last 7 things that we've looked at. You're giving credit to each of those lines and helping them understand what part of your final visualization they're actually creating. So we called our plots, you'll see ggplot, that was our data part. We've got our aesthetics, where we start to bring in our different parts of the data to start to chart them. You've got your geom, which is the geometric shape that you're trying to perform. You've got some formatting stuff there, whether we want grid lines, that kind of stuff. And then we've got our coordinates, and finally our facets. And that's the code within R to actually create a plot like this. But hopefully, thinking about it like it would happen in another program or another language can help you understand how things are going on behind the scenes in Tableau. And when you're creating different charts, being able to use this to actually think about what you're doing, take a moment and maybe adjusting something to look at it in a slightly different way. Very quickly, easy and more difficult. So the polar stuff isn't something that comes out of the box. You're going to have to work on it. We saw a nice example from Eva earlier about how you can do a lot of the preparation beforehand, but generally, when you're making slightly more advanced charts, it's going to obviously take a bit more time, and you're going to have to know Tableau a bit more depth to do some of the more advanced calculations. 3 key takeaways. I've spoken at length, hopefully, about the grammar and the possibilities that actually understanding the different layers of a chart can help you design different and more interesting and more actionable visualizations. Second point is try and understand, or try and take a look at and understand the concepts behind other languages. So R is the one that I've used here. D3 is another great one. There's a huge amount of possibility within D3. They seem complex at first, but just reading little paragraphs on how they actually work will help you understand and think about Tableau in a different light as to if you were just using Tableau on its own. And then Sarah's got up, which means I'm finished. So I'll leave that bottom stat on there for you to take away. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for all our speakers tonight. I want to wrap up quickly. So first of all, if you've got any rubbish on the tables, please put it in the bins at the back underneath the counters. Our next user group is live already, so if you Google London Tableau user group, it's the first thing that comes up. It's going to be on the 11th of September, and we're actually teaming up with the data dev team, so there's a hackathon taking place here between the 10th and the 11th of September. We're going to tag the tug at the end of that, so we'll see the presentations from all the hacks, and then we'll also have a talk from Gigi from the developer team, and we'll talk more about the developer program as well. So that'll be here as well. Right now we're going to go downstairs to the refinery, so you can come out the main entrance of Bluefin and turn left, it's just on the corner, and we've got drinks and food down there. We've also got a photo booth. We only have the photo booth till 9:40, so I'd recommend getting in there quick if you want to use it. We do have drinks that will be available when you get there as well as food, but if that runs out we can order some more drinks, but only beers and
Wine and soft drinks.
Wine and soft drinks, so no spirits or anything like that, so don't try anything. But thank you all for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.